Shayla, I need to sell my home within 90 days in 2026. Help me. I'm going to go over 3 non-negotiables for how to sell your home expeditiously or within 90 days in the 2026 changing market. Stay tuned. Selling my house in 2026. We've had some challenges in 2025, a lot of readjusting. By the way, before I dive into this video, you might want to check out the 2026 market predictions video that I posted, and I had my broker Mark Rasmussen and colleague Josh Jankowski alongside me, just kind of giving our takes on the predictions and how that might help position yourself to sell your real estate in 2026. So I know I talk so much about pricing, but it is one of the most critical pieces in selling your real estate. So here I have for the top piece would be pricing the home for today, not yesterday. So here's a quick example before I kind of dive in here, but I sold one of my condo listings downtown Sarasota in the Citrus building. We sold that in November for $650. And when I was discussing accepting this offer with my seller, they were under the impression that perhaps they could get more in 2026. But what's happening is the predictions are kind of coming in at less than 4% increase, from Realtor.com, from Zillow, from all these other algorithmic sites, from agents. And, obviously we want to be positive, but we are also dealing in reality here. And ultimately, it does nobody any good if we just list it to list and just for what I don't know, other than to sell. And so when I'm showing them some of these statistics that are coming out and that they're kind of just above inflation, I said, listen, I think in 6 months, you will look back at our $650 selling price and be so happy that we took that, because other statistics are coming out, or predictions, I should say, that are indicating that 6 out of the 10 biggest declining markets for 2026 are in Florida. And 3 of the ones closest to us in terms of market are Northport, Cape Coral, and Tampa. Those are right in our backyard. So we have to price for today, not yesterday. And, if I gave you a price 6 months ago, it very well might be the same, if not lower, today. So, I do encourage people to really listen to someone who has a strong track record in their market. I mean, I am hyper-focused on Manatee, Sarasota, Charlotte counties and specific niche markets in those larger territories. And, if we price it right today, that doesn't mean that in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, it might not need a price adjustment downward at that time. Because what happens is all it takes is one of the neighbors to kind of undercut us, and we really have to listen to the market. So if I price it today, it might change tomorrow in 2 weeks so that we can in fact sell it within that 90 days. I mean, the reality is 90 days even enough in this market? Because the market stats are showing a supply of about 6 months. So that means on average, it might take about 6 months or longer. So when a seller says, I'm only going to sign a 90-day, then if you only want to sign for 90 days and you want to sell within that, then your pricing has to be a lot more aggressive as well, to be fair to the market, to be fair to your realtor. Like, as an agent, I'm working in the market as well. And, I'm not a magician. So if you're giving me a shorter timeline to sell your property, then it would only be fair to be a lot more aggressive in the pricing, right? So that makes sense. So pricing it for today, not yesterday or tomorrow, it's pricing it for right now is the most critical. Second to that, I would say almost the same with that would be presentation. Presentation matters. Just like when you're meeting someone for the first time, first impressions matter. When you're shaking someone's hand, I can't stand that. So First impressions, give a strong handshake, show them that you mean business, just like your house. We're controlling the controllables. If, for example, I have that listing on North Longboat Key, 6841 South Longboat Drive. By the way, if you're looking on the north end at old cottages or large parcels where you can tear down, that's one. But anyway, in preparation, she asked, what can I do, and things like that. And knowing that someone probably will come and tear it down, having her go in and do a bunch of landscape, a bunch of extra work on the outside, especially, does it make a lot of sense for her to spend that money? No. So what we did in that case for presentation was we were able to do some virtual outdoor staging with the grass. So it just kind of popped a little bit nicer. And then do that side by side with the virtual and the actual photo, right? Without any AI or whatever you can call Photoshop. And the virtual staging and the painting and getting the house just enough ready to where it's presentable, and then allowing your agent to take over and do what we do best, which is the presentation. And presentation is, I would say, 90% photos, maybe more, but it's in the wording, the description, utilizing SEO to leverage the property and have it present in a way that's very professional. Obviously, a lot of what I do as an agent is the background research in advance of putting it on the market so that we are giving it the best shot it can possibly have, no matter the market, finding the right buyer and describing the home in a way that is not ChatGPT generated. Now, I do use ChatGPT to help save time and provide kind of like a synergy of ideas. But ChatGPT, just like Zillow, they have not been in your home, okay? Nothing beats, an agent like myself, boots on the ground, nothing beats that. I went in, I saw the home, I felt the cypress, I walked the lot. Nothing compares to that. You're walking the neighborhood, this market inside and out. So the presentation of what the property truly is, not exaggerating it either, right? So it's a fine line between making it seem like something it isn't versus presenting it in a way that will still attract the right buyer. So presentation really matters. Third and last on the list of the three most critical are, of course, marketing. Now we have this great presentation. Where do we syndicate it? And this is a big, big part of what we do. And understanding the market, it takes time to know a market, and it's a daily thing where you're always learning and always analyzing and keeping on top of each and every listing and every market that we have put on the market here. So while it is very important to be national and international and have it everywhere, I think there's still somewhat of a misconception of Florida sellers that think that the buyer is coming from a far off land or New York or Dubai or somewhere way, way far away. Well, the reality is every market, like Longboat, is a really highly niche, like localized market. A lot of the islands are. So what we found on our list track reporting, list track is a report that's generated when you have a new listing after about a week or so. It generates where the buyers are looking, where they're coming from, what websites, how many times they viewed it, favorites, what the percentages are of those buyers looking are repeat buyers looking at your property. And so what we find is some of my island listings, especially 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 of the buyers are right here in Florida. So we can't ignore the fact that your buyer literally might be next door, okay? Because people come here year after year as snowbirds and they want to get a feel for the market, and then they fall in love and they say, well, at this point, I might as well buy, right? So the market research, staying on top of that, networking with agents in our feeder markets, the people that are giving us the business as well, is so important. I've got some video about that also in my playlist. If you want to sell your home in 90 days, it is very possible in the 2026 market. Work alongside with your agent, have that communication. It always goes without saying to have that strong line of communication with your realtor is so important. Understand where they are putting your property, how many views you've had, both like virtual or in person, and how that correlates to your price. Price really matters because we have two major issues in what we had the 2025 real estate market. The top two, and this is also in my 2026 predictions video, number one, affordability. And number two, the lowest level of buyers, I think they were saying since 2020, and some reports say since 2013. But those two things are really hard to overcome. The prices need to come down, and that's something you can control. So I know I feel like a broken record, but these are just things that we can't control, and we do the best to do what's in our control, which are the things that we've talked about. And I have other ideas that I can give you specific to your home. Once I meet with you, I see your property, we kind of talk through like what your family needs and wants out of the sale, what your time frame is. I've worked with many very restricted, I would say, budgets and timelines in my career since 2002. I've also been through many different markets that help me help you, Jerry Maguire, as your advocate. So for a seller too, like it's all about the net for you, right? And so commission will come into this, but I think some people get too distracted with the commission and should be more focused on the net. When you have a high top tier realtor working on your behalf, they can more than make up for whatever their commission is. That is so worth it. And I'll leave it with this quote, which is just a great quote to head into 2026 and selling your property in 90 days. If you think it's expensive to hire a pro, wait until you hire an amateur. Now, that's not probably a direct quote verbatim, but I think you get the idea here. I would love nothing more than for you to call me in 2026, whether you're thinking of selling or purchasing. I work a really large area, Manatee County, Sarasota County, Charlotte County, and that encompasses a lot of cities and a lot of islands here. So please reach out to me or my referral partners anywhere in Florida, the other markets that I don't sell in, like Miami or Jacksonville or any other area that I don't sell in. I love your referrals. And if you're out of state, of course, referrals are just great too. And vice versa. I love giving referrals out as well. So I can be reached at 941-544-7690. You can call or text that number.